MacMillan Next Steps Cancer Rehabilitation is an integral part of a wider programme of change in cancer care in Gloucestershire. MacMillan is investing more than £1 million to support these changes, which will enable the health system to support the rising number of people diagnosed with and surviving cancer. MacMillan Next Steps aims to help people live as well as possible after cancer.
MacMillan Next Steps Cancer Rehabilitation is a service that forms a bridge really between the hospital and the community. It helps people take the first steps towards supported self-management. People describe to us that they feel lost and overwhelmed, and that's where cancer rehabilitation can help.
I am a colorectal nurse practitioner, and part of my role is to run follow-up clinics for patients. I've had surgery for colorectal cancer. That involves organising surveillance investigations for them, but also helping to address any consequences of treatment for them, so they often suffer a lot of side effects.
We talked about diet, because with colorectal cancer, you're left with issues around food, and there's many foods you still can't eat. So she put me onto Jo, the dietitian, and through Jo she suggested that the Taking Control course would be a good thing. We started off talking about our stories, which was quite emotional for all of us. I felt that day there was a need, everybody had a great need to tell their story. We moved on to looking at lots of different aspects of how we could take control of areas like our body image, diet, exercise, looking at fatigue.
We're finding that the Next Steps service is invaluable now for us to be able to refer patients on for dietetic advice, for patients that are suffering from fatigue or mobility problems following their surgery. You know that we've got that specialist physiotherapy input there, and also for patients that are generally wanting advice about becoming more active, just in terms of sort of from a health promotion perspective as well. And also many patients have taken up the Taking Control course, just in terms of psychologically being able to move on after a cancer diagnosis.
One of the lovely things that happened was that I bonded with the lady who was sat next to me, who was over 40 years older than me. But we both got a little bit emotional when we were telling our stories, and I think we just clicked and bonded, and we swapped numbers, and we've since met up, and I think we're going to be good friends.
I was diagnosed with early stage prostate cancer last year, and I underwent hormone therapy and radiotherapy in the summer of last year.
Dave was one of my patients that has been through prostate cancer treatment, and once he'd finished his treatment he felt like some further support and some further initiatives would be a good idea for him. And Next Steps allowed him to do that and source some further support and advice and exercise programmes and things that would be suitable after his care.
I had very little confidence in able to do exercise. Up until that point I'd been fairly fit, but I hadn't done anything for about 18 months, and I was feeling generally lazy and lacking confidence to do anything physical. The MacMillan Next Steps people certainly gave me that confidence and gave me the ability to carry on and do quite a lot of physical exercise from that point.
I think Next Steps allows that support in various areas, a wonderful initiative that will support them whether they have diet issues or exercise issues, or just still struggling maybe to cope with the treatment that they've been through in a physical way or even a psychological way. So that support is invaluable, really.
Last year I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was introduced to MacMillan Next Steps because of a care plan that I was given, and I didn't feel that I had any concerns, and I did look at that form more than once, but it was after speaking with the radiographer. She had ticked 4 boxes, and she felt that MacMillan Next Steps would be ideal.
With Marianne, she came through for radiotherapy treatment, and I met her in the course of the treatment review appointments, and it soon became really clear that she was struggling quite a lot with fatigue, which was also left over as part of her chemotherapy, but was made worse by our radiotherapy treatment. So knowing about Next Steps and knowing that they had the resources and the clinical expertise to help with that, I suggested to Marianne that maybe it might be something she wanted to look into.
Each subject that they touched upon, things like sleep deprivation, exercising, healthy eating, all things that we needed to consider so that we could move on with our lives after cancer. And I wanted to take control of my life again. I wanted to go back to being the person that I was before all of this happened. And, you know, I felt that being in this group, it did feel like you've known these people for ages.
We're referring patients through to MacMillan Next Steps if they're struggling with anything ranging from fatigue, issues following surgery, if they want to know how they can take control and make changes in their lifestyle, so looking at dietary advice, being fit, being active, and then moving on into the next phase of their life, which is either moving on after cancer or living with the effects that their cancer diagnosis has had.
If it wasn't for MacMillan Next Steps, I don't think I would have gained the confidence that I have done. For me, I went swimming the other week, and that was something I would never have considered. After being through breast cancer, to go and put a swimming costume on and get into a pool is a really big thing.